What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Cody Campbell with High Ground Gaming. Today I'm going to be unboxing and reviewing the Razer Huntsman Mini 60% gaming keyboard. I'm going to start by walking you through the specs, then I'm going to open it up, let you take a look at it. After that, we'll go on to the review portion where I'll tell you my thoughts on it after having tested it, and then I will give you High Ground Gaming's final score. Stick around. Now, this is not mechanical. Razer has gone in favor of optical switches. They have two varieties available. They have a purple, which is their version of a clicky switch, like a mechanical blue, or they have reds, which are reds. They're linear. It comes in two colors. You can either get it in mercury, which is, it's white, or you can get it in black. The caps are made of PBT plastic, which is nice. PBT tends to last a little bit longer and doesn't get that shine on it that ABS plastic gets. It has an aluminum body and it has a detachable USB Type-C cable. Now, detachable does not mean wireless. There's no battery in here, but it is kind of nice. You can always remove the keyboard just to clear up space on your desk when you're not using it, and then just plug it back in without having to run a cable around through your desk every single time. It's also nice in case the cable gets damaged for some reason. It's a lot easier to replace a cable than it is to replace a keyboard. It has onboard memory with lighting presets, but it also uses Razer's Chroma software for software controlled RGB. We're gonna take a look at that software, see if it does anything else too. But that'll do it for the specs. Let's get into the unboxing. All right, so right off the bat, we have the keyboard itself inlaid in this cardboard here. It's got a plastic covering over it to keep it nice and clean and safe. We've got instructions tucked into a little pocket on top, along with some stickers tucked into one of the pages. All right, let's open her up. Come on. So the keyboard itself is not super heavy. Yeah, the aluminum is very light. The keycaps feel good. Not clicky. There's a little bit of a muted feeling at the bottom of them. They're very quiet. We've got the function key here. Secondary buttons are printed along the inner edge there. It doesn't look like those light up, but we'll have to see. On the back, we have two different settings for lift. That's always nice. I always appreciate that. And we've got some nice rubber feet to keep it from moving around. USB Type-C connection off to the edge there, so that's good. Let's see what's in here. It's just the cable. All right, so the cable looks like it's a nice braided white. It comes with this silicone tie, so you can tie off any excess you like. That was on there. Little green nod to the Razer branding on the inside of the USB. That's funny. All right. I can't get over how quiet these keys are. Wow, it's really impressive. Just from my initial impression, everything seems to be made of really premium components. The keycaps are really nice. The switches are kind of blowing my mind a little bit. We'll have to see how they perform when it's actually plugged into a computer. The only thing that I'm not a super big fan of is the weight. I wish it was a little heftier. I like some heft to my keyboard. It's not super light. I've definitely had lighter keyboards than this, and yeah, see, it slides just a little bit with the feet up. The grips are pretty good, but I just wish it had a little more weight. The cable is really nice. This is like some sturdy braided cabling. I'm a big fan of that. But I'll go ahead and plug it into my computer, test it out for a little while, and we'll be right back with the review. Don't go anywhere. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. I've had some time to play around with the Razer Huntsman Mini, but before I talk about that, I would really, really love it if you just click that subscribe button. Okay, that's out of the way. Let's talk about the build quality on this guy. Let's start with that. First of all, it is clean looking. The white on white on white is really, really nice. There's a couple of gray accents with the function keys being pre-labeled on the inside there and on the underside, though you'll never really see that when it's sitting on your desk. But other than that, it all matches perfectly and it's got a real nice look to it. The aluminum body makes it real sturdy, so there's no flex or anything to it at all. It is light. Some people like that. I prefer a little more heft, but it's not the lightest keyboard I've ever felt. It's heftier than plastic, so pretty good. Not gonna knock it. The keycaps are made of that double shot PBT plastic, which is nice. There's not gonna be as much shine after some use on that, and they have a good texture to them. They feel nice to rest your fingers on. They're not super slippery or hard. They've got a real gentle texture to them that feels good on the fingertips. But one of the big things I want to talk about is the switches. The optical switches inside this are really, really nice. I came at this as kind of a skeptic. I'm a mechanical switch guy. I like mechanical switches. I like Cherry MX. I like Audi. I like all those brands. Razer's optical switches are actually pretty good though. These feel really, really nice. The one they sent us was the reds. They also come in purples, which is clicky, so that's kind of like Cherry MX blues. This was a great typing experience. The keycaps are also well spaced, which was a really good surprise because I found a lot of 60% keyboards tend to kind of tighten up the spacing on the keys. Not this guy. I never had really any issues with typos or anything like that. Well, no more than you do when you switch to any new keyboard. And it was just really comfortable to type on the whole time, as well as to game. I played some Doom and I had a really great time with it. The reactions were all great. I had zero issues with latency or anything like that. It was smooth as butter, and overall it just felt really good, to the point that I nearly forgot that the keyboard was there, which is about the highest praise that I can give a gaming keyboard. I found that they're actually a little bit softer and quieter than mechanical reds are, and that's a compliment. That is not a detriment. According to Razer, the optical switch that they use is actually faster, lighter, and has smoother actuations than mechanical switches, and lasts longer as it requires fewer moving parts that operate with less friction. I wouldn't necessarily say that these are better than mechanical switches. I think it's more a matter of preference, but I do think they're comparable. I think in terms of non-mechanical switches, these are the best ones that I've ever played around with, and I think that this is probably your best option if you do not like mechanical switches. Now, it does have multiple onboard profiles that you can use key settings to switch between. And that's really useful for if you want to play, like, say, on Xbox or something where you can't use the software. But I have to say, the Razer Synapse software is really good. And if you're using this keyboard on anything that doesn't have access to that software, you're missing out on a good chunk of its functionality. You can use it to reassign keys, like you can use it to reassign the base layer or the function keys. That's pretty standard. Pretty much every keyboard I've ever reviewed has that built into it. But the other features are all outstanding. The lighting is particularly good. Now, lighting isn't the most important thing in the world for a keyboard, but I mean, let's be real. We're gamers. We like some RGB. It is what it is. And this thing is absolutely stunning. Right now, I have it on the fire effect setting, which I think is pretty cool. But they have 11 different presets, and each of the presets are all pretty awesome. They have ambient awareness, audio meter, breathing, fire, reactive, ripple, spectrum, cycling, starlight, static, wave, and wheel effects. But what's really cool is that you can use the Chroma Studio to layer these effects. So say you want to put a static layer of that purple color that I really like. And then you want to stick the fire effect underneath of it, so you kind of see the ghostly fire crackling through the purple. You can do that. You can do that with multiple layers and create your own interesting effects by layering the ones that they have. I believe in our HyperX review, we noticed that the Ingenuity software also allows you to do that, but I have to say that I found the Chroma software to be much more intuitive and to have more options. Another really great thing about it is that you can use the Chroma visualizer software to sync every single one of your Razer products together. So any Razer product that has Chroma software, you can sync all to Razer Synapse so that they all have the exact same custom effects that you built yourself, giving your PC sort of a matchy-matchy feeling to it. So if you're a big-time Razer kid and you want all of your stuff to match, this is a big bonus. In terms of productivity, I had a great time with it. Very few problems, no dropped keys or anything like that. It was very responsive. I never had any delays or anything. The one sort of issue that I have with it is the placement of the arrow keys. Now, holding down the function key is already adding a step, but that's a necessary step to having a 60% keyboard. That's a sacrifice you have to make to get this form factor. But it doesn't have to be that hard. On a lot of them, the arrow keys are right next to the function key or very close to it so that you can use it easily. For whatever reason, Razer decided to put their arrow keys up on the I, J, K, and L key. For me, I found that to be poor placement. It was awkward for me to hit those when I was trying to do some productivity stuff, and I just didn't really like it. That is probably one of the two biggest criticisms that I have about this keyboard. And I know it seems like kind of a minor thing, but it was driving me crazy while I was trying to use it. And so if you don't think it'll bother you, that's awesome. Go for it. Don't let me stand in your way. I just feel like I need to warn you guys about that. But with all the specs and stuff out of the way, let's get down to the verdict. So I mentioned that there were two problems I had with this guy. One was the arrow key, the other is the price. This MSRP's at $119.99. That's pretty expensive, especially for a 60% keyboard. Most of them hover between $80 to $100 for the high-end keyboards. Those are the name brands. I think the only one that was as expensive as this one was the one from SteelSeries, and SteelSeries always tends to be a little bit more expensive than other brands, so that was kind of disappointing. I imagine that that has something to do with them marketing the optical switches as being superior to mechanical switches. So if you buy into that, that kind of makes sense. For me, I found them to be about on par, so I thought the extra $20 to $40 seemed a little excessive. But it is somewhat one of a kind. It is the only 60% keyboard that has these optical switches, and it is the only premium 60% keyboard that doesn't use mechanical switches. So if you don't really like mechanical switches, if you're in love with optical and you want a 60% form factor gaming keyboard, you're never gonna find anything better than this. And so that $120 price point kind of starts to make sense. So keeping all that in mind, we actually gave this a 4.2 out of 5. It's really well built. The functionality of it is pretty much perfect, except for the arrow key thing. And the software is just outstanding. The only other downside to it is the fact that it's not wireless. I don't really care about wireless that much, but there are a lot of wireless/wired USB Type-C connectable keyboards out there. So the fact that it doesn't have that option, but it's a lot more expensive than those keyboards, is also a little bit of a downer. So all in all, though, we think this is definitely the best non-mechanical 60% gaming keyboard on the market. So it does get a thumbs up from us. But that's gonna do it for us today. If you'd go ahead and drop down into the comments and let us know what you think about the Razer Huntsman Mini. Are you a fan of optical switches? Would you be willing to pay the extra price to make the switch from mechanical, or is this kind of a swing and a miss? What do you think? And while you're at it, hit the like button, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Happy gaming.